No, I was random joke. Name joke.
Okay, we'll start here. Topic 2. We'll start with page 27. Okay. First 26 pages are recorded. That's why I'm starting with 27. Okay. So here, boys, question now. This is classified paper 4, topic 2. The table gives some information about the 5 substances. Okay. The table gives it some information about the 5 substances, as you can see. Try to identify substance as ionic, covalent, like simple covalent compound, or metallic. First, which substance in the table has ionic bonding? Ionic bonding, look, for ionic compounds, what are the characteristics of ionic compound? They should have a high melting point. Number 1, they should have a high melting point. Number 2, they should have a high boiling point. Solubility in water, most of the ionic compounds are water soluble. It can conduct electricity in molten, but does not conduct electricity in solid. These are the properties. So first we want to be an ionic bonding, we want a melting point to be high. So which is having a high melting point? This, or this. Then the boiling point to be an ionic should also be high. Solubility in water, most of the ionic compounds are water soluble. Then conduct electricity in molten, melted state, yes, it does conduct. But does it conduct in solid? No. Why the ionic compounds cannot conduct electricity in a solid state? Because ions are not free to move. Ions can only vibrate, but they cannot move from one place to another. So which substance has ionic bonding? So H. Is it clear?
Yes.
Which substance in the table has a giant covalent structure? Now, we have to check the properties. To have a giant covalent structure, what should be the melting point? High, good. What should be the boiling point? High. Solubility in water, it should be insoluble. So melting point, these substances have, but H is already identified, so it cannot be H.
Then it can be
So H is already we identified, cannot be H. Now we are left with either G or J. It's insoluble in water, both are insoluble in water.
But it doesn't conduct, sir.
Electrical conductivity ionic giant covalent structure does not conduct electricity except graphite. So in general does not conduct electricity. So does not conduct electricity in molten or aqueous. But this conduct electricity. So which is a giant covalent structure. So G should be the giant covalent. What about J? What is J? From the properties, what you identify from J, it conduct electricity in both solid and molten state. So means it is a metal, because metals can conduct electricity in both molten or solid state. Ionic compounds can conduct electricity in molten but not in solid. And giant structure does not conduct electricity. Exception is there, graphite. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yusuf, is it clear?
Yes, yes.
Name a method you could use to separate the mixture of a J from water. J is insoluble in water. If you want to separate insoluble substance from the water,
The
filtration.
of course, filter.
So we can use filtration or filter. When a substance does, yes,
Then the water is for filter water.
yes,
The, that word.
because it is insoluble. So when substance is, but how to so J is insoluble, so we use filtration. If it is soluble, we use crystallization. Name the method you could use to obtain F from a mixture of F and water. F is soluble. So if it is soluble, distillation or crystallization.
So what is this fractional distillation?
Fraction distillation, because when two liquids are mixed with each other, F is liquid at room temperature. That's why we call it fraction distillation. This is related to the last topic of the syllabus. About this. No, F cannot be crystallization. I'm saying if a solid dissolve in water, then crystallization or distillation. But F is a liquid mixed with liquid, so fractional distillation. But about the technique, you will learn in detail about the last chapter. Describe how could you obtain a solid sample of H from a mixture of H and G. We have a mixture of H and G. G is insoluble, H is soluble in water. You have H and G. First, what you will do? No. First, you will add water. You have a mixture of G and H. First, you have a mixture of G and H. G is mixed with H. So first, what you will do, you will add water. But you have a mixture of G and H. There is no water present. No, one is insoluble in water, another one is soluble in water. No, they are only mixed. Like two solids are mixed, yes?
Then we will mix, then we will put it to after mixing.
Yeah, so first what we will do, the first point we will add water. When I will add water, what will happen to G?
H will dissolve.
H will dissolve, so H will disappear. Then how I can separate G from the water? Filtration. And how I separate H from the water? Distillation or crystallization. When you need a soluble salt from the mixture, you use crystallization or distillation. Yes. But in general, you can mention crystallization. So the points, if you want to separate the G and J, Abdurrahman is clear. So the points you will mention, you will first add water and stir or mix. Then use filtration to remove G, because G will isn't.
First we remove the H.
No, H is C. Yeah, so H is dissolve, man. Like you have a container. Yeah, it will dissolve. You have a container which is having G, okay, and you have H. First, what we did in this container, we add water. When we add water, what will happen to H? H will dissolve. So H will dissolve. Now we have to separate G. So that's why we use filtration to remove G.
Like I can't add water and
Filter to remove G. And then
writing G, I'm not supposed to write H. That
No.
that H didn't solve.
No, H you're not supposed to do. Then how we'll remove H? By crystallization or filtration, by distillation. Because H is soluble in water, so you will use crystallization. Okay. Substance J is a metal. Describe how substance J is able to conduct electricity when it is a solid. How metals can conduct electricity? How metals can... Yeah, so metals contain free electrons which can move through the structure, throughout the structure. So 2 marks, 1 mark for mentioning metals contain electrons, the second mark they can move. The next one, page 29. Okay, page 29. We have the table. The table gives information about some atoms or ions ABC. Complete the table. What should be the charge here?
Positive one.
Good. Because more proton, less electron. This does not have a charge. So how many proton? What is the configuration?
288.
288. What about this one? That's 4 marks. Carbon is an element. Define. Yes.
The answer is it's 10. not
Where?
9. Hold on.
Proton.
Yeah, proton, yes.
How it can be 10? Cannot be 10. So why you're checking the answers?
It's
I was looking at the answer, whether it's correct or not.
It's written 9. It's written 9 here. See. Carbon is an element. Define the term element. How we define the term element? Element is a substance. No. Which contain identical atoms. Substance which contains same type of atoms. The simplest form of a matter which contain the same type of atom, we call that as element. Learn the definition of the element. How many protons are there in this carbon?
6.
How many neutrons?
12. 6. 6. Sorry.
We take a difference. How many proton?
7. 6. 8. Sorry, this is 7.
New sevens. Okay, next. Tetrafluoromethane and lead-2 fluoride are fluorides of group 4 elements. Some properties of the tetrafluoromethane and lead-2 fluoride are shown. What is the formula for lead-2 fluoride? What should be the formula for lead-2 fluoride?
What is this one of lead?
Lead is Pb
PP,
because +2. And fluoride means fluorine, group 7.
And PPF2.
Good. PbF2, lead-2 fluoride.
LF12.
Lead is Pb and fluorine is F, so you have to write a correct symbol. What type of bonding present between the atoms in tetrafluoromethane? Look, tetrafluoromethane contain carbon and fluorine. Carbon is a non-metal, fluorine is also a non-metal. So what kind of bonding? Covalent. If the same question, what kind of bonding is there in lead-2 fluoride? Lead is a metal and this is a non-metal, so it will be ionic. If the bond is between the metal and non-metal, ionic. If it is between the non-metals, it will be covalent. What type of structure does lead-2 fluoride have? It will have a giant ionic lattice or a giant lattice. Why giant lattice? Because it's a ionic compound. Ionic compound is a giant lattice. Explain in terms of attractive forces why lead-2 fluoride has a high melting point. In your answer, refer the type of attraction between the particles and their relative strength. So why lead-2 fluoride is having a high melting point? So it has a strong high melting point. So strong attraction between oppositely charged ions. And it also has a giant lattice which result in a stronger attraction. So we need lot of energy to break. Like the mark distribution I will show, see. Lead-2 fluoride forces strong between the ions or ionic bonds are there as compared to tetrafluoromethane which has a weak intermolecular force. Ionic bonds have a stronger strength as compared to force between molecules. Molecules have weak force, ionic compounds have strong force.
Sir,
Yes.
the last, the M3.
Marking point 3, ionic bond stronger than attractive force between molecules. Because in lead 2 fluoride, there is a lead ion and the fluoride ion. And they have ionic bond and they have a strong attraction as compared to tetrafluoromethane, which is a molecule. So between the molecules, the force is always weak. So this force is weak. The attraction between the ions is strong. Okay,
Yeah, this is 3 marks.
3 mark. 1 mark. M1 means like first marking point. M2 means second marking point.
I thought the M3 was 3 marks.
No. It's
Yeah, positive, negative, positive.
yeah.
Sir, skip.
It's the same one, like negative.
Minus, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative.
How many electrons does chloride ion have? How many electrons in the chloride ion? How many in chlorine atom? Use the periodic table. How many in chlorine atom?
Positive.
It cannot be. How many electrons? 17 for chlorine. But if it is negative, it will be 18. Yes. But I was asking chlorine atom. Use identify an element which has atoms with the same number of electrons as sodium ion. Look, how many electrons in sodium atom? 11. How many electrons in the sodium ion? 10. So which element in the periodic table has 10 electrons? Oxygen is 8. 8. Oxygen is 8. Carbon dioxide is
Fluoride.
no.
Oh, neon.
Neon, it's written neon. So which element? So because sodium is having 10 electrons, neon is also having 10 electrons. Sodium ion. Now this is electrolysis. We did.
Then you get like
Which one?
this.
No, this is just a discussion, like
No,
class
we
discussion.
have given this.
No, in the explanation. You don't want to throw it here. In part B, this is related to electrolysis. Here. Electrolysis of concentrated sodium chloride. Define the term electrolysis. So electrolysis is actually the process of passing current through molten or aqueous substance. So when we pass the current through a molten or aqueous substance, we call electrolysis. Name the products of electrolysis of concentrated sodium chloride. First, what are the ions present in aqueous concentrated? What are the ions present?
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen.
OH -1, yeah.
And
Uh,
Na and Cl. It is constant. First, which ion? The positive ion, we check the reactivity. Which ion will move? No, it's not a molten, it's aqueous.
Hydrogen.
Good. So which ion will move? Hydrogen will move. So one of the product will be hydrogen. Is it clear? For negative ion, we check the amount. It is a concentrated. So which is more? Chlorine is more. Yeah, concentrated. Because concentrated means less water. So chlorine is more. So which ion will, what will the other product? The other product will be chlorine. And the third product is what is left behind. What is left behind?
NaOH.
So NaOH is also known as sodium.
Sir, if I just said the student will be.
Name.
That means I will use mark because I not write sodium.
Sodium hydroxide you have to write.
Lower-
If you write NaOH, you will lose the mark. If you write Cl2, you will lose the mark. Why?
One mark.
Yes, because name the product, not write a formula of the product.
There's some teachers that they will give marks. Some teachers, exam. You can just say advice.
No, but his question others cannot see. That's why. Write an ionic half equation for cathode. Look, as I mentioned. So what will the half equation for cathode? Ionic half equation for cathode means which ion will move towards cathode?
Oh,
Which ion will move towards
In,
cathode?
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen, good.
Plus.
So we want to write for equation for hydrogen. H is plus
H
1,
Plus electron is equal to H.
but it's a non-metal.
H plus two electrons is equal to H2.
Is it clear? Clear? This is related to the moles part, moles topic. We have to skip the right now. Now we'll do the MCQs. Yeah, paper 2.
Yeah.